Hi, I'm going to be reviewing chapter 5 and 6 in our human resources book. The first chapter, chapter 5, was dealing with um, the steps and how to go through hiring someone. So, how many people does a company employ? Um, if there's too many, then they lay them off, and if they do that, then lots of times they'll pay a higher tax rate. If there's not enough employees, then they'll pay overtime. This calculation is done by Human Resources Planning, which is HRP, and if labor demand exceeds labor supply, then what do? We can train or retrain current employees. We can do what they call succession planning. We can promote from within. We can recruit from the outside. We can hire subcontractors, and the employees can also work overtime. If the labor supply exceeds the labor demand, then we can do things such as pay cuts, reduce hours, work sharing, voluntary. You can ask for voluntary early retirement. They can do inducements to quit with severance packages, or they can lay people off. At our work right now, our productivity is down due to competition in the area, so we have been down staffing when we're not busy. HR practices have improved over the years. They can now weed out applications by using web-based systems. Our process asks candidates how they would answer certain questions, and if they don't answer them a certain way, then the application doesn't come through to us supervisors. The hiring process has 3 steps. It has recruiting, selection, and socialization. Employee turnover employee turnover can cost the company 25% of the employee's salary if they quit or get fired. So some of the challenges of hiring could be determining which characteristics are most important to performance and are they a good fit. Um, Second thing could be measuring these characteristics. Are they good with like such things as taking a test? Um, uh, we need to evaluate the applicant's motivational levels, and the book states that performance equals ability times motivation. Um, deciding Last thing is deciding who should make the selection decision. So recruitment is this is the organization's chance to sell the job organization and even the community to the applicants. We can do this by things such as social media. We have LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Depending on what is important to the applicant, also whether they want to apply or not, could be pay, such as pay, career opportunities for advancement. Will they be able to move up in the company? Work-life value. For instance, if they have children, can they work certain? They may only want to work certain hours. Um, we also can recruit current employees by moving them up, or like in our case, we always post a position from within first, and then if we don't get any bites on that position from within, then we post it externally. You can also get recruit employees by referrals from your current employees. For instance, here at our place of work, in a lab, we offer a $250 referral bonus if we hire them. If we hire somebody that you referred, uh, if it's somebody in management within the system, you get a $2,000 bonus, and if it's a provider or a nurse practitioner or APP, you can get up to $10,000 bonus. We can also hire um, former employees. We can hire former military people, and we can even hire our customers. We can use the newspaper or radio to advertise, use employment agencies such as StaffMart. We can employ temporary workers, like sometimes we have traveling techs. Techs right now are in shortage in the healthcare system. So due to the boomers retiring, So we hire what they call temp techs. We can do college recruiting, for instance, nursing out at Northwest State. We set up a stand out there a couple times a year, and we can recruit close to graduation some nurses out there. Selection, this is how we determine, this determines how good an organization's HR is. And if they hire the wrong person, this can cause people like a supervisor like me, or even your subordinates, the coworkers, to get upset or maybe even quit because they didn't agree with management's decision to fire the person or let them go or ask for early retirement, whatever. So two components of the selection process are based on reliability and validity. So how do we predict the candidate's job performance skills? We look at their letters of recommendation. They can take ability tests, such as a physical test like a fireman or a policeman does. They can take cognitive ability tests like math tests. In our place, our techs have to take a math test because there is a lot of math involved in that job. So we look at their application forms, and sometimes there's based upon how they answer certain questions, depends on whether or not the application will come through to us. They can take a personality test, and this is still used, but it's not as much, and it may not be very reliable or really very valid. In my opinion, the best way to see a person's personality and get a feel for them is to actually sit down with them one-on-one and do an interview. There's honesty tests such as polygraph tests, which I have never heard of any job around here where you would have to take something like that, except for maybe law enforcement or something. And then, like I said, we do interviews, and those type of interviews are situational. It could be based on job knowledge questions and work requirement questions. When I interview somebody or for a position, there could be like several applicants, and I always ask them the same questions, each one, and that way I can determine who's answering the questions the best. That way it's not biased. Also, during an interview, we were told that we can't ask certain questions, such as if they have children, their age, if they have any disabilities, what's their height and weight. You can't ask what their maiden name is, if they smoke, if they have HIV, if they're a citizen of the United States, and you can't ask if they have any arrest records. But you can ask, however, if they've ever been convicted of a crime. Also, we do drug tests for pre-employment. There's such things as an assessment center where you can go in and an applicant can go in and take a skills test. Basically, it's a simulation of what they would be doing on the job, and based upon whether or not they can do that is whether or not they pass this assessment test. We do reference checks, background checks, handwriting analysis, which I've never heard of that before, and I really don't think I believe in that after reading about it in the book. So that's chapter 5. Chapter 6 deals with like employee separation and turnover. Employee separation is when an employee ceases to be a member of the organization. Turnover rates is essentially the rate at which employees leave an organization, and this can cost the company a lot of money. Basically, it's really hard to put a value on any one person in an organization if you lose them. Because it's really based upon how much they make a year. So if they make $30,000 a year, or it's not going to be near as much for the organization expense-wise to lose them as it would be for someone who makes $300,000 a year. And then you have the cost of recruiting new employees. They may have a recruiter, or you will have the cost of advertising, training costs. You have the cost of the selection process, which includes the hiring of the employee, and any costs that's going to be associated with that on the job, such as before you start the job, like drug tests or anything like that. There are differences are different types of employee separation. There's voluntary. These can be retirement. It could be that they quit or resign for some personal reason. And then you have involuntary separation, where this is where an employee could be fired or gets discharged for some reason. You can also, maybe they're just not a good fit. Also, you can have layoffs, and this would be the organization's way of cutting costs, or it could be to downsize the company or to right size the company. Some of the alternatives to layoff is asking employees to maybe take an early retirement. Usually they offer money and benefits, and it's usually maybe like a 6 months of their salary or a year of their salary. And there's a window of time frame that the employee has to make that decision. Once the time frame is up, all the incentives are off the table. Companies of 100 or more, 100 people or more, need to give at least 2 months notice, or pay 60 days of each employee's income, if you're not giving them advance notice. So let's see, it talks about how it can affect those employees who remain on the job. If somebody gets laid off, fired, or whatever, then maybe not everybody agrees with why or what happened, and so they may be upset. This can cause them to quit. It can cause them to sabotage the company, and it can also cause them to get mad and not really care, and so productivity decreases. So that pretty much summarizes chapter 5 and 6 in our HR. Thank you.